That's a chilly ride down here. River's so low. Weather's so messed up. Amazing. Quick note. So the backup channel for this channel is set up last night. It is called the Roundtable of Knowledge by HTH. And that channel is to ensure that we don't skip a beat and nobody takes our voices away, all right? And a lot of people say, dump YouTube, man, dump YouTube, they're such bastards. Well, no doubt. But currently, this channel can reach millions of people, which it does monthly. And I can't do that anywhere else right now. I can put the videos that will get instantly deleted directly onto the Rumble channel when I come across them. I can do. Until then, the censorship battle is going on and on, I'll tell you what. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with the planet right now. What's amazing is how many people don't care, don't look into it. And if you calmly, directly, clearly give them a little hint to what's going on, they kind of look at you with a glazed over look on their face and go, oh wow, that's shitty, man. And off they go. Off they go to follow their program. Their program meaning the way their mind works daily. The more I learn, the more I don't know. The more I learn, the more I just want to pass it off to all of you to give you a chance to learn too. That's what I do. I grew up surrounded by bullshit. Had a lot of bullshit people tossed into my life without having any choice about it. Thankfully, from a very young age, I really became in tune with the real world, the earth, the healthy food, the fish, the game, healthy activities, and I think possibly that helped my mind stay independent. Sometimes I try to figure it out, like, okay, how come I give a shit so much? How come I see through bullshit so easily? Where'd that come from? Because nobody taught it to me. Nobody took me aside and said, hey Steve, guess what's going on? Nobody ever did that with me. I just came across it myself. But I had to develop survival instincts on my own from a very young age, I'll tell you what. So maybe that's what had to do, I don't know. Either way, here I am. I've put a video from the Rumble channel from Mel K onto the community page yesterday. I pre-listened, and if I do share any other videos besides mine with you guys, it's because I already listened and I feel it is very, very worthy of your time. So if any of you have a slight concern, curious what's really going on out there, listen to that video and it'll really, really give you an easy way to understand what's really actually going on, where your money's being spent, why you are doing what you do all day, every day. It'll really help you understand if you're concerned. And if you are concerned and you learn something from it, pass it on to somebody. Don't give a shit how many people. If you can pass it on to one person, do it. If you can pass it on to 50,000 people, do it. Just pass it on. And try to help your community, man. Today's the day. Right now is the time. Shit is going absolutely sideways. And the majority of people that don't have a clue, it just makes me dizzy. I don't get it. I really don't get it. The discomfort that every single one of us is being put in, the financial discomfort every single one of us is being put in, yet we still obey and shovel our money to these dark pricks, and our quality of life just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and everybody keeps doing it. I don't get it. I really don't get it. And everybody will say, oh, what are we going to do? I'm just one person. What are we going to do? There's nothing we can do about it. Yes, there is. You can educate your family, your friends, your coworkers, your neighbors. You can send them information and get them talking. The more people that you get talking, the better. And believe me, there's probably unprecedented times today with the amount of people who are gaining true knowledge. It is spreading. It is spreading big time. And I'm going to do whatever I can to spread that knowledge myself. And I've had a lot of people email me and say they can't believe I'm still online. I'm like, hey man, believe me, I can't believe it either. I've been slinging shit at the pricks non-stop. It's amazing I am still here with the number, with how many people are here with me at the same time. While we're here, we're going to keep it going, right? On that note, I'm going to get some voices heard. If I could encourage everybody to just go have a listen to Mel K, listen to the video that I shared on the community page yesterday. Go look for it. Maybe if I remember to, I'll put it in the video description on this video. Maybe. And listen to it. Okay? And if you still can't pick up what we're putting down, then maybe try an experiment for 1 hour. Or whatever it is, whatever time it is that you spend, even half glancing at mainstream news. Try this experiment. Every single thing that mainstream news tells you in an hour or 2 hours or whatever they got, go the opposite. Okay? Go the exact opposite. And then you're going to have some truth, and it's going to smack you in the face. But that holds water. To do that today holds a lot of water. Pretty solid action. And you can't argue. There's enough people out there who have connections. There's enough intelligent people out there who are concerned about you and your children's future, that there is knowledge available right now, and it's all over the place, but it will not be in mainstream news. All right, so you have to dump them. Dump them. Like they're radioactive. You got to pretend, maybe even just pretend that every second that you watch mainstream news, you'll lose a year of your life. Maybe try that. You know, like, I don't know, what more can I do? How can I deliver? I got to work on my delivery, I don't know, but I don't know how I can get it across to people how extremely wrong it is to listen to 1 second of any mainstream news or any politician today. Currently. There you go. That's what I got. Now, let me know if anything comes up behind me while I'm trying to find somebody's voice to hear. It's not hard to find. Here we go. What's this one? Getting right into it. This is titled An Idea. I love ideas. Hello, Steve. I continue to watch your videos with interest. The great Greek philosopher Aristotle once said, when everything that is presented doesn't fit, that which seems improbable or even impossible must be the truth. End quote. Obviously, there is a hidden agenda in North America to suppress the existence of Sasquatch, yet there are warnings of fines or imprisonment to anyone who kills one. It cannot be both. My idea is that not only do the authorities suppress so as not to panic the public, could be one reason, or if that acknowledged could result in killings, which might stimulate a reaction of retaliation that would be very difficult, if not immediately impossible to deal with, but also there may be an economic reason that remains obscure. My idea, and I don't know the value of the logging industry, but perhaps the logging industry has a hand in the agenda, in the assumption their commercial interests might be damaged if the truth is revealed. That is food for thought for you, because I suspect there has got to be additional drivers to sustain persistent denial. Kind regards as usual, Albert. Albert, good one, not a new one. We've had shit piles of people are convinced that it's because of money in the logging industry. And I, myself, from what I've gathered, respectfully disagree with that one. Which is fine, right? That's why we're all here, to learn and bounce shit off each other. I'm not right all the time. I've had my ass handed to me a few times with knowledge I've shared. And from what we know now, these beings have skills about them that we can't wrap our brains around. And they cannot be controlled by or manipulated by the dirty, filthy pricks who control and manipulate us. So there you go. That should be about 10 levels above the logging industry reason right away. Obviously, right? The people who are in control can't stand anything they can't control. And if we had those skills, holy shit, would those dirtbags be in a whole shit pile of trouble. Right? So picture that one. Listen to the people's testimony, listen to the honest people's voices, what they share with all of us and what they witnessed, what they know, what they've seen. And then try to picture how the dirty, filthy, controlling pricks would deal with us if we had the same skills, right? Or if we were introduced to those people in a friendly manner and those skills were shared with us. Whoa. Would be good. But the logging contractors, I'm certain of it, are nervous as F to have this revealed as well, because they obviously know that the first stages of acknowledgement probably would be the logging industry getting hammered on by all the Karens out there. Right? Oh my God, we gotta save them. Their nests are getting destroyed. And meanwhile, they don't have nests. Alright? Alright, another topic. Alright, this is titled Not for YouTube. Alright, we'll skip that one. There's another one. What do we have here? Mark this as read. Tuned into the gut feeling. Hi, Steve. Love the channel and appreciate the work you put in. I'm 59, an avid outdoorsman, and I am a mixed blood of Shawnee, Cherokee, Scott, Irish, and as the old timers would say, I'm bona fide. I have lived in Tazewell, pronounced Tazewell County, Virginia, for the last 47 years. The mountains of Virginia are sportsman's paradise with beautiful landscapes. I want to share a few strange things that have happened during my ridge running adventures. I'm 77. I'm in a remote pasture 60 to 70 yards above a saddle on a ridge that runs for 10 miles. The backside dropping vertical as much as 2,000 feet. Steep. I hear a scream that sounded like a woman in a horror flick. It was just out of my sight. I stood my ground with total focus on the shriek. I was still quite the greenhorn in the mountains due to my first 12 years living in the Windy City. However, I had learned much from my dad and my wanderings on our farm in the mountains. I enjoyed the miles of access I had. There's a big difference at that age going from skyscrapers to the middle of nowhere. No doubt. Back to the scream. I had no idea what would make such a powerful blast. It creeped me out, but I wasn't afraid. Then it began to scream for an unbelievable amount of time, over and over, and it was high volume, high-pitched, drawn out, and loud, brother, loud. Since those days, I've encountered all native species, except timber rattler, and have enjoyed observing and hearing the way they live, move, and sound. With that said, I've never heard that shit in the woods. I shared the experience when I came home with Dad, and he kind of blew it off as a bobcat or some other animal. Now, after years of experience in the forest, I beg to differ with the assessment. Speaking of Dad, rest in peace, he lived in Buchanan County, growing up in the 30s and 40s, a real mountaineer. He shared stories of being paced while walking up the mountain at night on numerous occasions. They had a farm on a mountain, no plumbing, no electricity, etc. He shared that being paced on a mountain that was steep as it gets would freak him out some. He never saw what it was. He was a very brave man, the 52 years I was blessed to be with him. I've had numerous gut feelings in the woods over the years that have led me to move to a specific / different place and harvested some nice bucks. Not a maybe I should go, like a second guess, but a move your ass and go now experience. Follow your heart, Dad always taught. I always feel it in the center of my being, the diaphragm area. I don't fight it, I just roll with it. Not once has it failed me. I hear it in my mind as well. Be assured my happy place is in the wild. I love it. And I am at home by myself in the mountains, rivers, and lakes. There have been 2 additional experiences that I have had in the deep woods. Both instances were accompanied with eerie silence and the feeling of being stalked. Eyes on me that sent my senses into turbo. Something had laser focus on me. Both times I left, forsaking precious hunting time. I felt so uncomfortable that there was no enjoyment to be had. I have a motto. If I'm not having fun, why the hell am I doing it? Of course, at first I tried to reason the spookiness away. That shit just wouldn't fly. So, I got out of Dodge with my head on a swivel, paying attention to my 6 as well. I am sure you have had the experience because I watched it happen to you on video before. I have a cabin in a valley under the Appalachian Trail. 4 years ago, during a 13-inch snowfall and temps in the low teens with stout winds, tracks leading to the woods were found and photographed. That spring, my daughter and I discovered structures that were obviously out of place. I wasn't surprised or spooked by any of it. I already know they're around. Haven't bothered me and mine, so we're good. Brother, I don't want to see one. I don't want to hang out with them. I'll respect them, the land and the animals we share it with. I will not take more than we need. I would never, unless I had to protect family, friends, or myself, consider firing a round or losing an arrow at one. Once you release or squeeze the trigger, there is no retrieving it. No going back from the choice made. This isn't the best email ever, but it is true and written from the heart. Perhaps it will be of some use to someone if you choose to share it. Thanks again for doing what you do, pal. God bless, and enjoy every moment you are given. When you feel it in your center mass, react with confidence and haste and trust your self-awareness. Much respect, Chris. Chris, wise words, my friend. Wise words. Absolutely appreciate you sharing with the people through me, man. Wise words. Yeah. All right. Be safe out there, my man. Never stop. Never quit. What's going on behind me? Anything? I'm not feeling anything. This river's so low. There's no fish splashing. There's no fish on the shore. Who's next? Side note, do not forget to look into what PayPal attempted to do to all of you and delete their ass. It's up to you, but I have deleted their ass and I will never give them 2 seconds of my time or business ever again, no matter what. Finally know exactly where some evil, filthy, dirty pricks, and they are in the head office of PayPal. And they are the enemy of the people. Big time. They are the enemy of the people. One of many. Side note, that's my commercial. That's a sponsored commercial brought to you by How to Hunt. Now on with the show. Third encounter in ancient portal knowledge. Hi, Steve. Thank you for reading my first submission to your channel on February 17th of this year. Overall, it was a positive event to have you read it. Oh, good. You did read it word for word. Because of that, let me say that your tenacity is a wonder to behold. Thanks for the kind words. Recently on your channel, there was a discussion about dream states. After nearly 7 decades of living, I can truthfully state that it has been a rare occasion when I have dreamed, or at least that I remember having had a dream. When I have dreamed and remembered so, I can say that the dreams were lucid and seemingly very lifelike. Third encounter. My third Sabi encounter was more than 20 years after my second encounter. My third encounter happened over 1,000 miles away from my first 2 encounters and is on the east coast of the U.S. I was in my late 30s. This encounter occurred during a particularly stressful life event that played out over several years. This third Sabi encounter consisted of 3 separate events spread out over a roughly 20-minute time period. I'd moved to an area several years prior. A couple years before the encounter, I had walked around the perimeter of the property and said prayers and asked Jesus to bless and protect the property and the people living on it from evil, injury, and harm. This is the first of 2 times such action had been taken. The first time was not Sabe related. The second time was, it was a gunshot. The second time was Sabe related. While my prior Sabe encounters were partially remembered on occasions, they were an on and off event with little evidence and doubting mindset when they were remembered. This third event occurred while I was on one of my daily 3.5-mile evening walks. The walks were within my housing subdivision. I had done this for the previous 2 years. There had never been an incident of any kind by either man, beast, or inanimate objects. Along my route, there were a number of homes with 1 or more dogs, and they would regularly bark and carry on as I walked by those houses. This included at least 1 dog on my block, which had never missed barking at me as I started each walk. It was after sundown on a nice autumn evening with no wind, clear skies, and moderate temperature. As I walked the first 100 yards down my block to make a right turn, there was no barking from the dog that always sounded off. This is oddly different, but not significant. I walked on, reaching the intersection and crossing over the next street by walking across the 40-foot wide frontage of a large 100-foot diameter paved circle area instead of walking the sidewalk, which went around the circumference of the circle. It did not feel right to use the sidewalk around the circle. This night, even though there was an 8-foot-high chain-link fence running tangent to the circle at its back end. The fencing ran for a block in each direction, then turned 90 degrees at both ends and continued on for blocks encompassing a roughly 25-acre, heavily forested area complete with small hills, gullies, and drainage streams. As I crossed in front of the circle, I heard and felt the low rumbling sound of a lion. This is not a roar, but the segmented, almost grunts or gurgling sound made by a lion after roaring. There were approximately 5 or 6 such grunts located just above the ground level behind the fencing. I felt each grunt in my body. Hear that? That was right behind me. There's nothing in that timber. Whatever. Not like we haven't heard it before. I give a shit. Bang away. Startled, I began to whip my head left in the direction of the sound. Caught myself and slowed the rate of the swivel while truncating the degrees to which my head turned. I scanned the fence line and darkness behind it for any movement. My ears strained to detect any noises. All the while I fought against my rising levels of fear and terror. I fought to restrain my bodily movements and continue the fast walking and not bolt into an all-out sprint. I fought to hold back the growing need to scream at the top of my lungs. I fought to convince myself that I did not hear the sounds of a lion. Throughout these few short seconds, my breathing remained deep, long inhalations and long, slow exhalation. I began rationalizing all the possible causes of the sounds I just heard because a lion was among the least feasible and rational conclusions. I was certain the sounds were not far from any type of machinery or equipment, nor was it electronic. I questioned whether it could be pranking kids having a jolly moment scaring an adult. How could idiot kids plant the image of a tiger in my head and keep it there? What other animals could make such a sound that had a physical impact on me from at least 100 feet away? The farther away from the circle I walked, the more levels of fear and terror subsided. Taking several minutes to completely dissipate, my breathing remained at a constant rhythmic rate. I walked 2 more blocks in an L-shaped configuration, which brought me to a wide, long, and paved driveway that ran several hundred feet into the woods. The driveway was graded, and the gate was always closed. The gate was open that evening. My fear level started to rise when I turned right and walked away from the gated driveway. I realized that anything inside the fenced wooded area was now free to engage in an attack upon me from my back. I focused again on my breathing and settled down my emotions. I had walked half a block when I heard a loud rustling of leaves to my left across the street. There was not an abundance of leaves on the ground yet. I turned my head to the left and focused in on the sound of the leaves while maintaining my steady walking gait and breathing. Directly across the street from me and moving down the opposite sidewalk at the speed of my walking was a 7 to 8 foot tall, vertical, rotating column of leaves. This was not a vortex of leaves rotating horizontally upwards or to 7 or 8 feet. The leaves would ascend upwards, the front side of the column to the top, move over the crest, move downwards, and then fall several feet to the ground behind the column. There was a street light 100 feet directly behind me. It did illuminate the other sidewalk across the street. The leaves were easily visible. There was no wind. There was no sound except for the rustling of leaves. There were no vehicles moving or parked on the street either previously, during, or after this event. The column lasted for several of my steps as it moved down the opposite sidewalk in the same direction I was walking at the same speed and directly across from me. The leaf column abruptly stopped and the leaves dropped down to the sidewalk. Holy shit. Alright, I gotta get out of the sun. It's gonna make me sneeze. I'm gonna move up into the shade. Excuse me. I'm gonna move up into the shade so I can read clearly, so it just reflects off the screen too much. here we go. And it's chilly down here. All the cold air is gathered down here. My mind went into overdrive. My fear level went up, but so did my curiosity. I immediately checked for wind, looking at shrubbery and trees on the opposite side of the street for movement and strength of any wind. There was none. I listened for the sound of equipment, machinery, lawn tools, exhaust vents, or any type of mechanized items that could produce such an event. There were no sounds from anything. Dead quiet. My breathing remained calm, deep, long, and strong. My curiosity told me to go examine the leaves on the other sidewalk. A voice inside my head said, "Don't do it." I continued my walk. Holy shit. All memory of the first event, which happened less than 3 blocks prior, was gone by the time of the second event. These two events were not associated with each other at the time and for many years later. As I continued on my walk, any analysis and critical thinking about the second event dissipated and then was replaced by practicing different breathing techniques. I scurried along the sidewalks of several more streets, oblivious to the fact that I was on my way to the third and final event during this walk. Holy shit. This was a consistent pattern of memory loss following these events since my initial Sabe event at age 7. This memory loss caused very little to mediocre follow-up, investigation, or research into any of the activities encountered. Okay, that's equipment way back there behind me, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it is. Walking further along the streets, there should have been several dogs that would have noticed my presence and barked for quite some time, which would set off other dogs to barking further down the street, and there were none. There were no cars in the street. Usually a couple to a few cars would drive by on an average night's walk. Roughly half a mile further along in my walk, I entered onto yet another residential street, walked down a block-long hill, and passed by a street light that was on the opposite side of the street. As I approached the street light, it immediately stopped shining. The illumination of light was very quick, with no brownout, no blinking on and off first, and then blackout. It went from illumination to immediate nothing. I don't think much about it, other than noticing it went out. As I approached the second street light, being within 20 feet across the street of where it would stand if it was on my side of the street, the light went out. I noticed this one go dark also. My curiosity again went up. A few seconds later, I looked back at the first street light. It went out and noticed it was again steadily burning brightly. I walked about a third of the way to the next street light and turned around to look at the previous 2 street lights that had gone dark. Both were steadily burning brightly. As I approached the third consecutive street light, and about 20 feet before it, the light went dark abruptly. Passing by the lamp and about 15 steps further, I turned and looked at the previous light. It was still dark. I took a few more steps and turned again to look back at the third light. The light was shining brightly, and so were the first 2 lights. This occurred with the 4th street light and the 5th street light. I turned onto another road at the 5th street light and walked down to it to the 6th consecutive street light, which also went dark just before I was parallel to it. I continued my walk after a number of steps past the 6th street light, turned to look at it, still being dark. This was a repeated pattern of walking a few steps and turning to see the street light still dark, finally illuminated when I was possibly a block away. I cut my walk short that day, only walking 1 lap through the housing division. Stephen went home because I knew I had had enough with the walk, but I was not certain why. The walk's third encounter had already slipped from memory. The 3 events were not remembered together for many years. Follow-up on the first 2 events of the walk were mediocre and occurred more than a year later and independent of each other. A year or more later, I did call the county animal control division and asked if there were any known large felines owned or residing in the residential subdivision. There were none at the time of my inquiry, and there had been none the previous few years. At a different time, regarding the vertically rotating leaves column, inquiries were made of a few lawn care employees and an owner. Most laughed at the suggestion that leaves would move in a vertical column without wind or mechanical means. Yeah, I guess they did laugh, didn't they? I still agreed with that consensus, and yet I know these leaves rose several feet into the air without wind or mechanized assistance of any kind. Several puzzle pieces were presented in my first submission. There are still more puzzle pieces to be presented. Among them are the following. Puzzle Piece 1. Sabe has difficulties with humans who can control their emotions. Humans who can logically examine the experience and reason through it using common sense, knowledge, skills, and prior life experiences. It is my assertion that Sabe, too, has difficulties with humans who have strong standards and viewpoints, are strong-willed, or who do not project or have a usable weakness. Some Sabe actively seek to produce altered states of consciousness in humans. Puzzle Piece 2. Sabe select specific individuals, and then over time continue to work on those individuals through a series of encounters to manipulate the person or something about that individual. This may be the individual, their spouse, offspring, or relative, the geographic location, pets, or other variables deemed of value by the Sabe. Yeah, that's a confusing one, man. I mean, why? You know what I mean? I mean, let's face it, there is a shit pile of human beings out there that are at an absolute waste of time. Right? There's nothing to gain. So it's a tough one for me to try to envision and wrap around. So like Sasquatch being cruising along however they do, picking out some dumbass human being who's about as smart as a pickle compared to them, and then putting that much time and dedication to that person. It's kind of an odd one for me to visualize. Like for me, when I come across people that are as smart as a pickle, I just don't have time. I don't have time. You know, I can attempt to help or listen. It's even tough to listen to people that are smart as a pickle. It's just hard. I don't have patience for it. So picturing these beings with their intelligence, it's a tough one to picture, you know, but you never know. Puzzle Piece 3. Several club members have indicated that Sabe tags their victims. I wholeheartedly agree with this assessment. It is my known experience that specific types of Sabe tag their victims so that different individual Sabe, but a similar type of Sabe, will know they are free to continue on with a given human being. I'm almost certain that this tagging process is bioenergetic and is easily detected by other Sabe. Individuals who are a different class of Sabe than those who tagged a specific human will leave that human alone unless it is vital that they intervene, such as guarding a portal entrance or protecting their family or clan members or activities. Again, I don't know, man. From what I'm gathering, what I think maybe possibly, various human beings, innocent human beings who don't have a shit clue, possibly they vibrate, their energy vibration is at the correct level, possibly in and out, which enables them to be in the same plane as some of these beings for a short time. And it might happen so seldom, it may be years in between. Maybe. Something to toss around, right? You never know. I don't know. Puzzle Piece 4. It is my belief that, if given a choice, Sabe prefers to attack minds that are more malleable, where standards are less rigid, right and wrong are less defined. Sabe prefers minds that are not strongly resistant to their attacks. This would include children and young adults. At this point, I would tend to also include as preferred minds those that are overly superstitious, strongly emotional, persons who are distraught or overly burdened at that moment. Puzzle Piece 5. Sabe's special abilities. Effects are transient. They wear off over time. Sabe needs to reinforce their special abilities, effects periodically. Without reinforcing the effects, they can be overridden with the right techniques and procedures. Sabe's reinforcing efforts can be blunted with the right techniques and procedures. Those are gunshots. Puzzle Piece 6. Sabe used logic and reasoning of the universe. Somewhere in the distant past, humans and Sabe took different paths towards accomplishing their goals. Humans took a more pragmatic and tactical path, while Sabe took a more mystical and esoteric pathway. Humans developed specific techniques and practices revolving around tools and external accessories that allow us to manipulate the environment around us in specific ways. Sabe developed specific internal techniques and practices revolving around bioenergy as it relates to the physical body, earth, and heavens in order to manipulate the environment around them in specific ways. Puzzle Piece 7. Sabe cannot be examined only in terms of our understanding. Sabe has developed the abilities needed to intertwine themselves with the laws of nature and, by extension, the laws of the universe. Sabe uses energy collected internally to alter and adjust energy externally and vice versa. This energy flows around, through, and within Sabe just as it does with humans and everything else. Portals are an enigma. Enough doom and gloom for one email. Let's end on a more positive note. Portals are an undefined topic for me because I have no personal experience with them that I know of. My knowledge comes from abbreviated discussions I have read in texts dealing with a few ancient arts and sciences. The ancients refer to portals as mysterious openings that allow hidden movement. The movement is from a specific point in time, pertaining to a specific fixed geographic origin that leads to a second point of fixed geographic position. My understanding is that there are two types of portals. One type is solar or cosmic. The second type is terrestrial. NASA has discovered the solar type leading from the sun to the Earth. This is not a portal anyone would want to travel through. The terrestrial type portals lead from one geographic place on Earth to another geographic place on Earth. Both the cosmic and the terrestrial type portal are transient in nature and occur in different areas at different times. My knowledge indicates that the terrestrial portals vary in location, size, and time duration based upon the year, season, month, and day. Terrestrial portals have two subcategories. One category is defined as positive or useful portals. The second category is described as deadly portals. It would suggest that the useful terrestrial portals could allow armies to move undetected through them. There is no evidence to suggest this ever occurred. The downside to the useful portals is that a given portal would begin in a certain geographic area at a certain time and would exit at a specific geographical location. Should those locations and timelines correspond to a human's need, then accessing it was a beneficial event. Additionally, there was no indication how the exit point was determined, the length of time the portal would remain accessible, nor the consequence of being in the portal when its time ran out. Determining where and when a portal opening would occur requires a supremely detailed understanding of the lands, an immense knowledge of the land formations within given areas, and the energy flows within the land and the land formations in a given area. This knowledge is accumulated through experiencing, learning, and studying specific areas of land. Secondly, an intimate knowledge of the heavens and cosmos is an additional necessary requirement. Third, formulas were developed to integrate the above knowledge into a solution to determine where, when, and what type of portal could be expected to open in a given area at a given time. Finally, this science is dependent upon the user to have learned that which cannot be taught. This is knowledge, skills, and abilities the individual innately possesses or develops on their own because there is no way to teach the subtle insights about these things, because the subtle perceptions and understandings are dependent solely upon the individual. Sabe seems to not need the aid and support of science, but rather has an intuitive understanding of usable portals, their locations, and portal access timing. Sabe may be able to detect portals or the energy flows that feed into and flow from the portals. Sabe may have developed an extensive knowledge of portals in given areas and may actually place their communities in proximity to portal-rich areas. I believe Sabe does not generate portals but uses what is available at the time. I believe that the energy-generating abilities of the Earth are a bare minimum of power needed to create a portal. Humans and Sabe are polar opposites with respect to the knowledge about and usage of portals. Sabe seems to pass the knowledge around among their communities like candy. Humans have held this knowledge close to the vest for millenniums. It seems that only a handful of humans are aware of the actual ancient portal scientific knowledge at any given time. Furthermore, to gain and have access to this knowledge, there are strict requirements in place for selecting a prospective student to learn the science. There are also strict requirements in place for not selecting a prospective student. A prospective student has to be judged under both sets of requirements. This is an indicator that this is a powerful science, and when misused, could cause significant harm and damage to humans and to human civilization. Steve, once again, thanks Thank you for the platform to pass my knowledge along to other past, present, and future club members. If read, hopefully someone will take from it what they need to fill in their own puzzle pieces. Steve, keep up the hard fight for truth and justice. Wishing you, Sarah, and the rest of your family peace, prosperity, and knowledge. Shining stars. All right. Well, from what I pick up, you haven't spent any time watching Honey Boo Boo reruns with your time, right? That's a mouthful. That's a chunk for many minds to wrap around. Take from it what you will or leave it, right? That this person is very generous in their time they took to share what they have been studying and learning with us. It's a lot of time, right? It's a lot of time. Sharing your time with this community, with strangers, is a very, very valuable gift. Lots of people won't pick up on that statement until much later in life, I'll tell you what. There's a lot of things in there to be wondered about, others for sure. So much crazy shit going on now. And, you know, when you receive emails from individuals like this and others, hundreds of others, I don't know why, but my mind sometimes almost always goes back to those original so-called big names in the Bigfoot Sasquatch community, and how much more cringe it just makes me cringe when I picture them now. It doesn't do that to you, seriously. And I'm not trying to get you to jump my bandwagon. It's just when the more voices we hear from the people who have been suppressed and hidden and kicked to the curb previous, now we get to hear them. And if you did any following of any kind with the past so-called big names, and what they did, especially with their big public websites where they kept these people and others, many of you, hidden, kept the guts it took you to come forward and share with them was a lot. And then you just had it rammed right back up your ass by ways of either belittlement, your story being changed, or just absolutely ignored. Right? Yeah, I don't have any time for any of those people, any of those places at all. And teach your own, take from what you will, do what you're going to do. But I assure you, if you want your knowledge base to be stopped dead and going in a circle, an endless circle that leads to nowhere, keep following those pricks. Keep following it. Keep watching those stupid shows like Finding Bullshit. Right? Anyways, sorry I'm losing time on them. No, I shouldn't. Back on track. Anyway, how long have I been here? That was a doozy, isn't it? I gotta get moving. I got a lot of shit I gotta get done today. I think I'll probably be up at 4 o'clock in the morning and off into the mountains, the secluded, remote mountains of Vancouver Island, to seek out monster Roosevelt elk. Hopefully, catch them on film, video, and whatever else might come along, or whatever else I might see. But I always take all you along on my adventures, and I share whatever I can with you that I think is of interest or epic to look at. Anyway, you know what? Let's do one more. One more. One more, hopefully not too long of one. That was interesting. Very interesting. Oh wow, this is an angry. Oh no, it's not angry. Oh, okay, whatever. Somebody's just chastising me on my language in this email. I don't need to read it. It'd be kind of a waste of time. Just can't make everybody happy, right? It must be so frustrating for the people that watch people online or wherever, and they feel they need to control how they carry themselves. No, you will not speak the way you're speaking. I must stop you. Said no rational thinking mind ever. Steve, possibly a piece of your puzzle. All right, I'm all over, man. Hello, Steve. This is Michael from Wyoming. You were asking anyone if they had information on smooth river rocks being thrown at people in areas that don't have any type of water system. I may have some insight for you. My friend Todd in Colorado is interested in this topic, so much, in fact, that he had attended a psychic session for his wife seeking answers about her past loved one. As the session was ending, the psychic told his wife, "Have your husband ask the question that is on his mind right now." Todd denied he had anything on his mind, and she told him, "You want to know if they are real?" This caught his attention, and asked, "Yes, I do." She stated, "They are real, but not what you think they are." He was intrigued and went back several times with questions. Rock throwing did come up in one of his sessions, and he asked how is it they throw the smooth rocks that appear to be from riverbeds or oceans when no body water is around. And she stated the rocks are brought through portals, and asked him the next time they were thrown for him to pick them up and see if they were warm to the touch. The process of bringing them through the portals has something to do with kinetic energy and causes them to be heated. Hope this helps your piece of the puzzle. Wow. Take care, Steve, and giving these short-minded bastards... Take care, Steve, and keep giving those short-minded bastards hell for all of us. Thanks for all you do, and you're truly an inspiration, and it's comforting to know people feel safe here at the table of knowledge. May the round table of knowledge help all of us solve our own piece of the puzzle. God bless you, my friend, and God bless you, too. You know, I've never had much time for the psychic community. At the very few times I've caught it, somebody showed me a video and I got to sit there and watch somebody. Okay, I'm seeing possibly a female or a male in your past, right? And I'm seeing maybe a letter. What letter is it? You know, I don't know. And they say, or else, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. The people that say, okay, I've got them. They're here with us now. My brain goes to, all right, if they're here with you now, I want some effing answers. Where the hell are you? How'd you get there? Was it painful? What's going on? What are you doing? Give me some feedback. If they're there now, why can't they have a conversation? Right? All it does is they go, they're here with us now, and the person starts breaking down, bawling their eyes out. Thank you so much. And then they leave. Now, not me. You stick me in the room with a psychic, and they tell me somebody from my past is in the room. We're going to talk, and they're going to give me some answers. Clear, fluid answers. Right? Maybe I'm missing something. Probably am. I know. I just haven't had much time for that world. But that's just me and a different topic. But getting back to the original emailer, I appreciate what you shared with us, and I do believe you. I do believe your passed on knowledge. And one thing that I would think when you mentioned that for her urging you to go pick up one of the rocks, from what I've learned from Edgar and the nuclear scientist community is I would be a little frickin' leery of picking up a stone that was tossed at me that didn't fit the ground that I was standing on, only because of what the nuclear scientists have shared with us. Mainly one thing being is their footprints giving off a radioactive reading, right? And now the nuclear scientists and nuclear community, they are so diligent in staying safe and not becoming contaminated that Edgar is basically 100% convinced he picked up his cancer from exposure to that being and wherever it was it took him for a bit, right? So take from what you will, but unless you have some kind of a electronic device that might read the safety of picking up something like that possibly came from somewhere else that we're not familiar with, there may be a chance that it might be hot. Too hot for human flesh, meaning it might give you some cancer. You never know. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there from what I've learned from the past contributors, right? But anyway, I wonder if any wildlife has gone behind me. What have I had so far behind me? We've had otters go behind me I didn't know of. A mink ran across behind me I didn't see. Fish, obviously. I've had bears go behind me way at the back corner. I've had shit thrown at me from right here, where those branches are still, small trees are still smashed over there. Piled up, something busted those off. Don't know why. But anyways, it'll be interesting to see if you guys see anything behind me. If not, well, I'll share something with you later. Now, again, Mel K Rumble channel. The Mel K Show, the link I shared on the community page on this channel yesterday. I would strongly suggest, if you're curious, what's really going on the planet, because it does affect you. No matter how much you turn away, it's going to affect your ass, and it is currently, and it will big time shortly. Have a listen, all right, and pass that information on if you feel motivated. And what else? The backup channel's up and running. I think there's close to 5,000 subscribers this morning when I got up. And I'll tell you what, I don't imagine it'll take too long for it to hit 100,000. I think when the channel hits 100,000, you get that plaque. They gave me a plaque before for 100,000 subscribers. I don't even know what happened to it. I lost it, but I lost it in the move. I don't know. But I'll tell you what. Once this channel gets to 100 grand, if they send me that plaque, maybe we'll see how far out I can place it and shoot it. I know I'm being a dick. Whatever. I'll be back later, you guys. Be safe out there, and make sure you go and find the new channel, backup channel, subscribe to it so you can stay in touch with the voices.